Babylon Unveiled, the most sinister civilization in history. The history of Babylon is a tale woven with threads of conquest, cultural exchange, black magic, architectural marvels, and religious significance. Spanning several millennia, Babylon has played a pivotal role in the development of ancient Mesopotamian civilizations and has left an enduring legacy that continues to captivate historians and archaeologists. The ancient city of Babylon plays a major role in the Bible, representing a rejection of the one true God. It was one of the cities founded by King Nimrod, according to Genesis 10:9-10. Babylon was located in Shinar in ancient Mesopotamia on the eastern bank of the Euphrates River. Its earliest act of defiance was building the Tower of Babel. The Tower of Babel is a legendary structure mentioned in various religious texts, including the Bible, the Quran, and other ancient sources. It is a symbolically rich narrative that has captured the imagination of people across different cultures and beliefs. The most well-known account of the Tower of Babel is found in the book of Genesis in the Bible. According to the biblical narrative, humanity spoke a common language and decided to build a tower that reached the heavens. The people aimed to make a name for themselves and prevent being scattered across the earth. God, however, saw their pride and ambition as a threat, deciding to confuse their language to scatter them across the earth. The result was linguistic diversity and the dispersion of humanity. This biblical story is often interpreted as a cautionary tale about human pride, ambition, and the consequences of challenging divine authority. It is also seen as a narrative explaining the origin of different languages. In the Quran, the Islamic holy book, the story of the Tower of Babel is briefly mentioned. The narrative aligns with the biblical account to some extent, but with variations. According to the Quran, the people of Babel were led by a tyrant king named Nimrod who defied God. God thwarted their plans by causing them to speak different languages, making communication difficult. The Quranic version emphasizes the consequences of arrogance and disobedience to God's will. It also underscores the importance of humility and submission to the divine. Jewish tradition, which shares the Genesis narrative with Christianity, interprets the Tower of Babel as a symbol of human rebellion against God's will. The dispersion of people and the emergence of different languages are seen as a divine response to human arrogance. The story is often used to teach moral lessons about humility and obedience. The Tower of Babel narrative is not exclusive to Abrahamic religions. Similar stories are found in the myths and legends of other ancient cultures. The Sumerians, for example, have a tale about the Enigmas and the Lord of Arata, which bears resemblance to the Tower of Babel story. In these accounts, the confusion of languages and the scattering of people are consequences of divine intervention in response to human hubris. The universality of such narratives suggests a shared human inclination to explore questions of origin, purpose, and the relationship between humanity and the divine. Across various religions, the Tower of Babel is interpreted as a cautionary tale about the dangers of pride, disobedience, and challenging divine authority. It serves as a metaphor for the consequences of human ambition and the limits of human power in the face of the divine. The Tower of Babel also symbolizes the diversity of languages and cultures, highlighting the complexity and richness of human civilization. It serves as a reminder that despite our differences, we share a common origin and destiny. For much of its early history, Babylon was a small, obscure city-state until King Hammurabi, 1792 or 1750 BC, chose it as his capital, expanding the empire that became Babylon or Babylonia. Located about 59 miles southwest of modern Baghdad, Babylon was laced with an intricate system of canals leading off the Euphrates River, used for irrigation and commerce. Breathtaking buildings adorned with enameled brick, neatly paved streets, and statues of lions and dragons made Babylon the most impressive city of its time. Historians believe Babylon was the first ancient city to exceed 200,000 people. The city proper measured 4 square miles on both banks of the Euphrates. Much of the building was done during the reign of King Nebuchadnezzar, referred to in the Bible as Nebuchadnezzar. He built an 11-mile defensive wall outside the city, wide enough on top for chariots driven by 4 horses to pass each other. Nebuchadnezzar was the last truly great ruler of Babylon. His successors were insignificant by comparison. Nebuchadnezzar was followed by his son Marduk, the evil Merodach, 2 Kings 25:27-30, Neriglissar, and Labashi Marduk, who was murdered as a child. The last king of Babylon was Nabonidus in BC 556-539. Despite its many wonders, Babylon worshipped pagan gods, chief among them Marduk or Merodach and Bel, as noted in Jeremiah 52. Besides devotion to false gods, sexual immorality was widespread in ancient Babylon. While marriage was monogamous, a man could have 1 or more concubines. Cult and temple prostitutes were common. Babylon's evil ways are spotlighted in the book of Daniel, an account of faithful Jews taken into exile to that city when Jerusalem was conquered. So arrogant was Nebuchadnezzar that he had a 90-foot-tall gold statue built of himself and commanded everyone to worship it. The story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the fiery furnace tells what happened when they refused and stayed true to God instead. Daniel tells of Nebuchadnezzar strolling the roof of his palace, boasting about his own glory, when the voice of God came from heaven, promising insanity and humiliation until the king recognized God as supreme. Harut and Marut are 2 characters within Islamic religious tradition. These 2 angels are described in Quran 2:1-2 as teaching magic to humans in the city of Babylon. The 2 angels appear only once in the Quran itself, but more details of their story can be found in Quranic commentaries, such as that of scholar al-Tabari. The Quran mentions the following verse: "They followed what the shayatin, devils, gave out, falsely of the magic, in the lifetime of Solomon. Suleiman did not disbelieve, but the shayatin, devils, disbelieved, teaching men magic and such things that came down at Babylon to the 2 angels, Harut and Marut, but neither of these 2 angels taught anyone such things, till they had said, 'We are only for trial, so disbelieve not by learning this magic from us.' And from these angels, people learned that by which they cause separation between man and his wife, but they could not thus harm anyone except by Allah's leave. And they learn that which harms them and profits them not. And indeed they knew that the buyers of it, magic, would have no share in the hereafter. And how bad indeed was that for which they sold their own selves, if they but knew." Harut and Marut were sent to earth to teach people the basic principles of magic by giving them a complete picture of magic as an equally evil and unfaithful act. Now, all sorts of people started coming to the angels to seek information about nature and the specific formulas of magic. To provide particular teaching on this subject and to protect the people from error, the angels were careful enough to make it a point to warn them of possible dangers in giving them the information. The task of Harut and Marut was to equip people with the knowledge of magic. Indeed, it was more of a test and trial from God to see who sticks firmly to their belief system and avoids indulging in practices against their faith. The angels repeatedly advised them to seek this critical information only with good intent and not to misuse the knowledge to earn eternal damnation. The angels could not be more honest and forthright. So they explained the basic principles of magic and even the minor details to all who were ready to take the pledge to remain steadfast in their faith. Of course, if anyone broke the promise and fell into transgression or infidelity, it was his own fault, and the angels could not be held responsible for it. Some were faithful to their promise, while many did not fulfill the pledge and made their knowledge of magic a means of harming people. This in itself is a sin and transgression. Thus, through misusing their knowledge of magic, some became the forces of evil. In summary, teaching mankind magic was a test for people set by God. The argument has nothing to do with whether magic is acceptable or permissible. It was only to distinguish those who were going to disbelieve from those who would believe and accept the advice. Stay tuned for the next episode as we continue our journey through the history of Babylon. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment.